Welcome to another episode of the Profitable Home Services Podcast. This is the podcast where we dig deep and we uncover hidden profit leaks. And these are the leaks that help you build your business, not just top line revenue, but we want to build out that bottom line profit for you. We want you to have money that you take home and put in your pocket. And if you hang out with us long enough, we'll have you taking your profits first. So, right now, we're going to welcome our guest for today's episode, and it is Jack Tompkins. How did I flub that one up, right? Not even a hard name.
Everybody does.
From Pineapple Consulting. And we are going to talk about being data driven today. Now, wait a minute. Some of you are not numbers people, and I get it, but hang with us. I know this is going to be great. It's going to be fun. We've already been laughing our heads off before we started recording, so we can make numbers fun. So hang out with us, and I think you'll learn something new. And like all of our other episodes, towards the end, we're going to uncover a hidden profit leak. So here we go. Welcome, Jack.
Thanks so much, Diane. This is great. I love talking, nerding out about data-driven decisions, especially for everybody that's not super number savvy.
And a lot of the home service business owners, numbers are scary to them. I use the term money math a lot.
Hmm.
Um, Money can be scary, and you throw math on top of that, and they're like, "Whoa, I don't know if I want to go there or not." And I'm like, "Come on, it's just numbers. They don't hurt." But to them, they do. So how can we take data that they have in their CRMs, data they have maybe in their QuickBooks file? They've got all this data, but how can we break it down into something that's actually meaningful and useful and that they'll continue to use it day after day after day, week after week, and year after year?
Yeah, it's so common too because when you think about data, it is a very scary word because it's this endless thing of endless rows and columns and ones and zeros and blah blah blah. But when you think about data in the small business world and the service business world as well, it's exactly what you said. It's QuickBooks, it's HubSpot, it's your CRM, it's whatever it is. It's the stuff that you're familiar with already as a software. It's just there's underlying stuff in there. And you don't have to think of it as, oh my God, I've got 100 different fields of data. It's I care what my at Start Basic, I care what my profit against my budget was. That's technically data, right? And
That
how do you
is
get
data.
that? That's a whole other thing too, right? But you can start just one step at a time. And I mean, pick your favorite cliche, like don't eat the elephant all in one bite kind of thing. But just go one step at a time and go with a logical thing that your brain naturally thinks of. And there's data to support it.
I know that a lot of my home service business users use big programs like ServiceTitan. And they are so overwhelmed because there's so much data, so many hundreds and hundreds of reports they can pull. And I think they just take a deep dive into overwhelm and they don't come back out. And so they end up not utilizing the program to the best of their ability. But it sounds like we could take a couple of those outputs and turn it into something that's meaningful and useful for them.
Very much agreed. Yeah. And it is. I mean, I get overwhelmed with some platforms too. And I'm an absolute data nerd. I love diving deep into it. But on both ends of the spectrum, whether you love diving into it like me or you hate diving into it, but you know you have to, you can get overwhelmed too in the weeds so quickly. So yeah, I think to your point, just take a chunk. Take one little section, become good enough at that. You don't have to be an expert. Become good enough at that, and then move on to the next chunk. And it's not random chunks. It's okay. We're gonna start with this one was how many leads did I get? Next one was how many conversions did I get? Very logical flow, and you're already being data driven by doing that.
You make that sound so easy.
The more it sounds easy, the less it feels like data, the better it is, the more likely people do it.
So, can we even kind of gamify this a little bit and make it fun for them?
I think so. Let's try.
Okay. I know I'm such a numbers nerd that I will compete with myself to try to get better numbers this month versus last month or things like that. Now, I know not everybody is a nerd like I am or like you are, but that's okay.
Yeah,
How could we turn this around and make some of these data points be a little bit of a competition or a little bit of what can we accomplish? I don't know, something to put some fun back into it.
Yeah. So I love the competition angle too, because I think a lot of people do compete with themselves. As entrepreneurs, I think all of us,
Mhm.
regardless of industry, we're naturally a little bit competitive or a lot of bit competitive. And I think if you're saying, okay, I got more leads this week than last week, that's good. And then I want to do more of the good thing. And
Mhm.
then you could also spin that around to your team. If you have a sales team, if you have a bunch of techs or whatever it is, you can say, okay, the gets slightly more detailed. The gross margin for tech one was better than the gross margin for tech number two.
Okay.
Okay, now we have a little bit of a leaderboard going on, and we have pick your favorite sport. I'm a big baseball fan. You have standings, right? And you can see over time, think year to date numbers. You can see, okay, like this, your win rate is 25%. The Tech 2, their win rate is 23%. You have this leaderboard going on. So I do think a healthy level of competition drives you to use it more. And the more that you're graded and kind of scored against that in a competitive way, the more likely you are to do it, to follow it, to be held accountable
Mhm.
to it, ultimately to try and quote unquote win or
Mhm.
just, meet your
Right.
goals.
Right. I think there's a saying out there, and I'm probably going to butcher this pretty badly, but whatever gets measured will improve. And that's probably not the exact saying, but, and that just kind of goes back to that same type of thing. If you're focusing on number of leads and number of conversions, and that's what you're focusing on, it can't help but get better because
Yeah,
you focused on it. You're paying attention to it.
exactly. Yeah, I'm blanking on it's that which is measured is managed or something like that.
Something on that. Yeah. But
Yeah. And it's so true too. If you don't look at something and 6 months later you happen to have achieved it, you're like, oh man, total accident, happy accident. But if you look at something every day and then 6 months later you're like, oh, I know I got it. I got it 3 months ago and I've doubled my goal now.
yes, yes. I think of this in the CSR environment with their customer service reps. How many times that phone is answered and how many jobs are booked from the phone calls and things like that. Because I've worked with clients that have had terrible rates coming in from their CSR department. And by paying attention and working with their team and training and things like that, they can double that. And it didn't cost them any more to double it. They didn't have to do more marketing. They didn't have to do more of anything other than get that phone, get it right. And so a little friendly competition there might be
Yeah.
pretty helpful as well.
That's a good one too. Yeah. Because to your point, it's the same resources. It's the same people doing effectively the same job, but
Mhm.
either they're doing it more efficiently or they're doing it better. Or
Yeah.
honestly, as long as there's some aligned incentive that every time the phone is answered, then there's a dollar that goes to whatever fund at the end of the year kind of thing, something
Mhm.
along those
Something,
lines.
yeah.
People are aligned. And again, all of this is kind of data in the back end, but it's still, it doesn't feel like it because now you're saying, oh, I just have to answer the phone. And then a dollar goes to a pool that we all get paid out into a bonus or, something along those
Something.
lines.
Yeah.
I think it's so powerful.
Another area that they struggle with is callbacks.
Mm,
You know, they go to your home, they do a job, they leave, everything appears to be fine. And a day or 2 or 3 days, whatever, later, the phone rings and such isn't working or whatever. And they have to go back out to the job. So this could potentially be used to reduce the number of callbacks.
yeah. Yeah. Think about that. I mean, if we're gamifying this again, the number of times that somebody has to go back to the same location, that's a negative. I mean, like obviously
Huge.
that happens sometimes, right? It's not gonna be zero, but the more you can avoid that, the better.
Mhm.
And I think that's something that you can pretty easily track for callbacks or easy enough. It's in the realm of
Yeah.
possibilities for sure. And that's a very aligned incentives of you don't want to go back. I don't want you to go back because you already did the job. Let's try and limit that as much as we can.
And what would it take to get there? So that's
Yeah.
another good KPI to be tracking or a
Yeah.
data point to be tracking. It's how can we reduce our callbacks from 30% down to even 28. Now we're down to 25 and now we're down to 7. You know, how can we get it down, those percentages down, and then coming up with a reward system for when that does happen.
Yeah. And think about
Yeah.
how great that would be if you got it down to 7%. How awesome
Hmm.
would that be if you don't have to be like, oh, I'm gonna be back here tomorrow and nobody's thinking that way? It's, oh man, I have to go back to there tomorrow. Like something must be wrong. That never happens. That's such a better feeling than I know I'll be back here tomorrow. I'm just gonna whatever do this and figure it out later and blah blah blah.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
such a better feeling.
it is. And makes for much makes a much better work environment too, because you're not feeling all bummed out that you had to go back. And from the business owner standpoint, they didn't have to pay you potentially to go back and miss working on another job because you were going back. So it's a
Right.
double whammy on the business. And so,
Exactly.
yeah, if
I
we
know
can incentivize that.
yeah. A lot of people are paid on like number of 5 stars reviews that they get as well. You
Mhm.
know, there's some bonus structure around that too, which is aligned incentives for sure. But if you have to get a callback, you may not get the 5 star review.
Right.
So it's just everything is sort of aligning, and it's all stuff that you want to do anyways. It's just tracking it will help you actually do it.
So look at all these data points we just blew through.
I
That was
know.
that was fast data pointing.
Right. There is, I mean, and this is, we're even like, there's so much that you could do, right? There's so many good options out there. The goal is let's make business easier for you. That's all it is. And if you track things, it will be easier. Just track the stuff
Yeah.
that's hitting home, that
Yep.
10 KPI list that we just ran through, whatever one stuck out to you. Start with that one.
Yep. Start with one.
Yeah,
And don't overthink it, because some of us are really good at overthinking. And then it becomes something that doesn't get done because we made it too hard.
exactly.
Yeah. Pick something,
Exactly.
keep it simple. Once you flex that muscle and built it, then pick another one. Add now you got two going, and then pretty soon you're up to 10 or 15 that you're watching on a regular basis. And I'll guarantee you when you're watching those various data points, your profits are starting to climb. There's no way that they cannot climb
Hmm.
because you're paying attention to these areas that where profits have been leaking out of the business.
Right.
So, yeah, I love when we can do these for clients.
Yeah. That's such a good point too, because like some of these could be very legitimate, very apparent pain points that
Hmm.
don't really feel like data points. It's just somebody's doing a bad job or whatever it is. But track it. That's a data point. As long as it's in there, then you find that profit leak. You plug the profit leak, more importantly. And then to your point, Diane, you just keep going one on top of the other on top of the other. And you've got this suite of stuff that's helping you run your business for you. And it's all just measured. It becomes all managed because of that. And everybody's on the same page because everybody can look at the same thing and say, oh, I did great today. Or, ooh, that wasn't great today. And then you're aligned and everybody's moving in the same direction.
Well, if you could make it fun, can you imagine what that would do to the company culture?
Right.
Instead of, Jack, you blew it again. What are we going to have to do to get this working right? Flip that around to, whoa, Jack, look at that. You scored today. Which business would you rather work in? You know?
Right. Right.
So I think we could really change company culture. We could make it fun. We could make them feel more like the family type feel. And everybody goes home at night feeling good about themselves.
Right. Yeah. Flipping that to instead of punishing for negatives, celebrating for positives.
Mhm.
It's look at that. Data can impact culture. Look at that.
It can. And then maybe as part of that culture, some of what went into the jar, whatever, gets used maybe as a community reach out or something. Who knows? It could go all kinds of directions and
Exactly.
change up the way that company is perceived in their own community as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I know one of my clients, a plumbing business out in Oklahoma, they did something similar where it was very much they had data all over the place. They started aligning it, they put it in one central spot. Everybody saw it. And I think their big thing was like gross margin. And they started celebrating giving bonuses based on gross margin. And they have I don't think the term is like blown up on social media by any means, but like I see them all the time and they have so many 5 star reviews. It's crazy. They become like your dog's favorite plumber. Like they've created this whole brand based off of it too. And it's been so cool to watch. And obviously there's many factors at play there, not just data, but
Mhm.
the culture impact of being able to just see what everything that's happening is so huge.
It is, yeah. Yeah. Well, we live in a world where AI is creeping in everywhere we look.
Hmm.
Some of us are embracing it pretty much fully. Others are like, whoa, I'm not quite sure about that yet. How can AI have a factor in all of this?
Yeah. So AI, another scary term,
Right.
phrase,
Very scary.
business killing potential, right? Not really in home services, luckily, because I think it's a while before AI can fix a toilet, but you never know. Um, it's pretty cool though. So again, taking it through the lens of let's just make things easier. AI can do a billion different things. And I heard a really good analogy. I think this was like, I think it was the CEO of HubSpot, I forget his name, but AI is very much an intern that has a PhD in everything. So it's
Oh, I like that.
right. It's again, can't take credit for it, but it's
Mhm.
ridiculously smart. It just has no idea how to apply it in your business. So if you think of it through that lens of, okay, I just need to coach the intern a little bit and it'll kind of find the answer for me. There's a bunch of different applications for it. I'm sure we're going to dive into that plenty here, but as long as you're able to just say, hey, like I'm a $1 million home services business. We're an electrician. We do X, Y, and Z. I'm looking to build a better marketing campaign for clients that have A, B, and C type problems. What would you recommend? And you could start there. It's really good for first drafts.
Mhm.
It's really good for just kind of getting the ball rolling. And then you can instruct it and guide it. And then you can also put the finishing touches on it because no matter how big AI gets, there still has to be expertise at the end of it. There still has to be the business owner who knows the team, the business, the community inside and out, and then actually applies those things to the business. So I very much view it as it's a helper. It's not something that's taken over. It's something that you can really use to be more efficient.
I use it daily, and it's such a time saver
Hmm.
because, especially if I'm writing something, you sit down, you look at that blank screen, or you hop out to AI and say, "Hey, I need whatever it happens to be, whatever you're creating or writing," and it'll give you a great first draft.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you do have to talk to it like you would your elementary age child and give it very specific directions and be patient with it. Sometimes you have to ask for two or three drafts before it finally gets what you're talking about. But it's like a small child that you do have to work with it that way.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
it is still a time saver.
It is. I think to your point at the start of that, using AI every day, I think everybody should just throw something into AI every day. It doesn't even have to be business wise. Just
Nope,
get
it
used to
doesn't.
used to get used to communicating with it because it's not going away.
No, it's
And
not.
there's going to be folks that super, super duper embrace it and want to be cutting edge. I'm not trying to be that. I'm a data
No.
nerd. I'm not trying to be that. Let smarter people than me kind of figure out the next wave of it, whatever that may be. And I'll stay a step behind intentionally as long as I'm familiar with it and I'm finding new applications for it. I've already found I just made an app the other day that's an estimation tool of how much like value you could create by doing X, Y, and Z. And there's tools out there that can just literally create an app for you. So if you ever
Hmm.
had that idea of like, oh, this would be so nice if I had an app for that, you can do that now. There's free plans that you can just go build an app and like stuff like that you
Wow.
wouldn't find unless you just continually played with it.
Right, right. I know you and I were talking offline before we hit the magic record button, that I had the opportunity last week to go to on a week-long retreat, a business coach retreat, where we worked on our business all week. And one of the gals there was talking about she used AI to plan her trip to Europe. They had just gotten back the day before, and then she came on the retreat.
Oh my
And
goodness.
so it gave suggestions on where to stay, where to eat, things to do in the area. I mean, it was very detailed what it gave her, and it was pretty accurate from what she was saying. And I never thought to use it in that part of my life.
Yeah,
But it can do so much for us if we give it a chance.
exactly. Exactly. And that's such a good example too, because there are like data privacy concerns, right? If you're saying, I don't really want to upload my financials, that's fine. Don't do that. But
Mhm.
like planning a trip to Europe, like great. Technically, would AI know that you're probably taking a trip? Yes. Can it do anything about it? No. But like using that is, I mean, I hate booking. I can't decide which hotel I'm going to stay in. I can't do anything like that. I hate deciding flights. I want to get a travel agent. I want to do all these things. But now I'm like, oh, like let me just ask AI. And I think ChatGPT has got an integration with Kayak, maybe.
Maybe,
I may
yeah,
be making that
something.
up, but still, stuff like that, just getting those reps in, it makes it feel less daunting. It's again kind of
Hmm.
like what we're talking about with data and KPIs too. Just it's a one step at a time. There's no way you're going to be an expert in AI tomorrow. I've been heavily using AI for I don't know, call it like really heavily for like 6 months. I am the furthest thing from an expert,
Hmm.
but I can do some stuff. I can find ways that can help me. And it's been such a time saver. I get so much more efficient in business.
I know in my own business, I'll tell it I'm playing with an idea of possibly offering a service kind of like, because I may not even have enough framework on it, but I'll explain what I would like to be able to do and have it give me some insight and then have it give me some dialogue on what am I not thinking about? Because
Yeah,
we'll come up with this new idea. Oh, I want to offer this, whatever. Maybe it's a service, maybe it's a product, whatever it might be in our business. And we don't think about all these other things out there. And it's been really good at slowing me down because I can make decisions pretty quickly, but slowing me down and getting me to stop and consider some other items. And a couple of things I've just backed off from it because it's like, whoa, I never thought about all that. A couple other items, we're running with it. We have a in probably end of September, we've got a profit blueprint boot camp that we put
ooh,
together with the help of AI, where we will show people how to implement profit first in a little 6 week program. Going to be really cool. But the
yeah,
idea, I ran it past AI at first. I would like to do something like this. What are your suggestions? And it came up with all kinds of suggestions, and I chose one and then continued working with it. And so now we've got this program all laid out that we'll be launching here pretty soon. And it's pretty exciting when you can run an idea like that by it and have it give you pros and cons and what would I need to do to be able to market it? It's just like having an advisor sitting there next to you. Now you can't
exactly.
trust everything it says, but it is, it's pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, I love that too. Because like to your point about the business retreat that you were just on, which again, so jealous of. I think that's so awesome. We're bonding over how infrequently we're able to actually focus on the business as
Yes.
opposed to doing the thing that makes the revenue.
Mhm.
Use AI as that brainstorming partner. To your point, I have an idea for a service. Let's run a couple ideas by it, and there's a I don't know what the right word. It's kind of like a framework, but it's if you're thinking about a new service, you could brainstorm with your team and have AI refine it. Or you
Yes.
could flip that and
Mhm.
say, let me brainstorm with AI, then run some kind of half-baked ideas by the team, and then we can refine it. I think that order is actually more beneficial because you can get through a whole lot of brainstorm with AI up front and then say, all right, team, talked with AI, ChatGPT said X, Y, and Z. Let's run, like, can we actually do any of these ideas? You'll see some people light up by one specific idea, and there you go. You've taken what used to be probably a 6 or 8 hour total brainstorming, and you
Mhm.
boil it down to a 1 hour team meeting.
Right. And that's a time saver, which is ultimately a profit leak that we plugged because we didn't sit through 3 or 4 or 5 meetings. We sat through one
Right.
because we had it somewhat flushed out to begin with. I know a lot of my home service businesses are working hard to get a subscription model of some sort working. Whether it's a maintenance plan, it's a something to get working for them. AI is a great buddy to run that by. Hey, I'd like to do this. This is the kind of business I'm in. I'd like to offer this. I don't know what to charge for it. It'll give you ideas on that. It'll give you ideas how to get it started. It'll give you ideas on any software you might need. It'll give you ideas if you just keep asking questions. And I
Yeah.
think the thing is not being afraid to just ask questions. There's no dumb questions in AI. In fact, it'll tell you, you're doing a good job. Way to go.
Every response is great. Let's go down that path.
So
It's
it's
such
very uplifting that way.
It really is, yeah. So just out of curiosity, I just threw into ChatGPT. Best subscription models, and it came up with maintenance and safety plans. It came up with priority service plans, so you're always top of the pack.
Mhm.
And then we've got appliance or system monitoring plans. I'm an electrician business in this case, commercial facility support plans, new homeowner subscriptions, stuff like that. And then it summarizes everything for you. And to your point, like if you're unsure of what the right price would be, it comes with price suggestions for this. And that price
Mhm.
suggestion isn't a random thing. It's because it researched a bunch of other things that it's found. If you don't know like the averages for what a gross margin or an average tech time should be, or average this or that, just ask AI. It'll give you a pretty reasonable ballpark answer. And then you can make pricing off of that. You get better at estimating off of that too, which we go down that path 'cause I know estimations are huge, but
Huge. Yeah.
it's a really, really cool thing. Like, I'm by no means an electrician, but I feel like I could price an electrician just by two ChatGPT prompts.
And Jack, how many hours did that take you?
Well, we're getting to seconds, not even minutes, probably.
Minutes? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's a
And
really cool thing.
something too that I love about using AI is I'll hit some sort of KPIs and I may not understand what they're really talking about. So I'll go to ChatGPT and I'll ask it, hey, this is a formula, or this is, I heard about this KPI from somebody, help me understand this. And it'll break it all down. It'll tell you how to calculate it. It'll tell you what you should be tracking. And that has been so helpful because, like you, I'm not an electrician. I'm not an HVAC. I'm not a roofer. I work with a lot of them. And sometimes their terms aren't real clear to me, but AI will help me understand them. Same
Yeah,
thing if I say an accounting term to somebody, AI can help you understand it
right.
and get that, make you feel, smart because now you know what they're talking about. I don't have to pretend like I might know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's such a good tool to be instantly educated in something and not an expert in anything
No,
right off the
no,
bat, but at least be able to have the conversation of, oh, that's what that acronym means. Got it immediately. Moving on. I understand the context. You can do that in seconds. And to your point, AI doesn't judge.
no, it doesn't.
I've asked the dumbest questions possible, and it still is, oh, great. Let me clarify that for you.
Yeah. And then it's been really good to pull things together into a table for me. Here are back to data points again. It'll pull it into a table and it'll usually ask me, would you like that in whatever format? And give me choices of two or three formats. And then we take off and we can use it. And now we have a usable tool that I didn't have to sit here and try to figure out how I'm going to create it. It may not be beautiful, but it's usable.
Yeah,
And that's all we need is just be usable, functional.
just functional. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now your stuff
it's
is beautiful. What I see on your site, when I poke around in your website, you got some beautiful looking, very expressive and colorful, um, things to show everybody. Some
yeah.
dashboards and things like that. So
Oh, I appreciate that.
yeah,
It's
way better than what ChatGPT and I create.
right. It's one of the fun things, honestly, because there's the science of data. I always say the science of data and the art of the gut instinct. That combo is the best. But the science of data and then the art of actually creating something that
Mhm.
looks like something just like a pretty picture, honestly. It doesn't
Right.
feel like
Yeah.
data at that point. And that's one of the big things that we try and harp on too, is if it doesn't feel like data, it feels like a scoreboard, or it feels just like, oh, like here's
Right.
our thing in our brand colors and this is our custom thing. You're more likely to use it. So that's
You
been our
are.
one of
Yep.
our big thing is the better it looks, as shallow as that sounds, the better it looks, the more people are going to use it.
And I wholeheartedly agree because me coming from the accounting background, I can pull together a fast spreadsheet. It's not pretty, it doesn't do anything, and people just kind of groan. But if
Yeah,
I was to pop it and put it in your colorful dashboard type thing, they like, oh wow, what's that? So
right.
yeah, there
Yeah.
is a difference there.
It matters. It's
It does.
I run my analyst through a design course more or less of here's a bad example with the exact same information as a good example. You tell me which one. It's not even just that it looks better. It's you can digest the information quicker. So our thing is if you can't get the story within 15 seconds, we haven't done a good job.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
I have this long story. I'll do the short version, but when I was in the corporate world, I was a good analyst. I'm not saying I was the best, but I had a direct line to the head of the department. Again, not because I was the best, but I was physically closest to his office. This is pre-COVID. And so he would lean back in his chair and say, "Hey, Jack, quick question for you." And he would have a meeting coming up in like 2 minutes. It was with his boss, who was one of the leaders of this Fortune 500 company. And he would ask me to summarize a month's worth of analysis in under a minute. And I was like, huh?
Whoa.
I eventually got so in tune with what he was looking for and pretty good at building dashboards that I didn't need the full minute. I didn't even need to talk. I just turned my laptop around and said, "Here's the dashboard." He looked at it for 15 seconds. He asked me 15 seconds of clarifying questions, and I was out. And that's the power of it just being this understandable, concise, pretty thing.
Right. And easy to use in the
Right.
process. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And to one of the things that we're saying early on too, whatever you do in data, take your first step, focus on that one big thing, right? Make it easy to use, make it easy to understand, and almost most importantly, make it easy to update. Because if it's hard to update, we
Oh
both know you're not
yeah.
going to do it.
Right. Yep.
So honestly, and use ChatGPT, use AI, say, "I'm looking to do this." We do a thing called a whole data strategy audit where we put together here's the exact roadmap of how to do it. AI can do something pretty similar. It's a little bit more vague, but they can do something pretty similar of I use ServiceTitan. I want to know my leads per week. How should I do that? It'll
Hmm.
give you like a pretty decent outline of how to
It
update
will.
it easily.
Yeah. Yep. So hopefully by now we've convinced our listeners that numbers, money, data are not scary. They're just tools,
Just
tools that
tools.
help us run our business better,
Yeah.
and tools that we can actually make fun so that our team will use them, which then gives us, as a business owner, those numbers that we need to be watching so we can become more profitable. So, Jack, I'm going to put you on the spot here for a second. We end every interview with the magic question. What's a hidden profit leak or uncommon profit leak that you see when you're working with home service businesses?
This is a good question. And I know we're profit first fans here. Um, One profit leak is estimating too obvious.
I'm going to challenge you to go deeper.
Yeah, I think that's a little too obvious. Um, I think you could go. So, all right, in that same vein, estimations, you could estimate everything perfectly. You know it's going to take $100 of parts in 10 hours or whatever it is. The pricing model might be not as efficient as it could be underneath that. And I think if you have data that shows the cost of goods sold properly by job, it shows the tech that's doing it, it has all the tracked time and everything. If you have all the pieces to it, you could be leaving money on the table because you know that you provide a premium service or something like that. So you could actually rework the pricing model a little bit to be lean more towards a subscription basis. Or if it is truly a one-off, then you could increase that by 5, 10% or something like that. And I think if you have the data to support that and you have all the numbers flowing in showing here are the trends that we're seeing, also you could check out the market trends as well with AI. But I think if you have that all together in one place, you can find whatever 10% that could be on the table. Maybe you won't want to increase prices or change the model so it results in all 10%. You may become overpriced at that point, but an extra 5% goes a pretty long way. So I think the pricing
Yes.
model underlying an estimation is something that you could really hone in on.
And that 5% goes straight to your bottom line. And you do that job after job after job after job. That becomes some pretty decent numbers by the over the course of a year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And
Yeah.
I would argue that if you track all of that and say new model versus old model, you'll probably have multiple similar jobs to where you can get a pretty decent sample
Mhm.
size and say, okay, these 10 jobs are similar enough. Five of them were in the new model, five were in the old model. Did any customer complain on either side? Did we still get the same number of five-star reviews? Was there one tech that was able to sell it more, one CSR that was able to coach it more, kind of like that? And you can kind of see, okay, when does the new model work versus when does the old model work? And I think that's something that it doesn't take a lot of data. It just takes a little bit of monitoring to find out.
Right. And without data, you would never know the answer to that question. You'd keep doing the old model forever and ever.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I need
I
to do
had
that with
a,
my business too.
yeah, I had one of my coaching calls not too long ago with with a company, and they had been offering this particular service on the commercial side of their business, not the residential side, at this particular price for the last few years. And we started digging into the price, gathering data points, and he found out he was barely breaking even on it. So he had to go do about a 15% price increase because there was no profit at all. There was no wiggle room if anything happened. But in his mind, he was selling it lower because it was on the commercial side. If it was on the residential side, he would have sold it higher. But it was actually all not quite costing him to do those jobs, but almost. But
Right.
without data, he didn't know. And so data is so important. Even in just something small like that, a small, well, I guess 15% wasn't that small of a price increase, but still had to happen, or he could no
Yeah.
longer do those commercial jobs, that
Right.
particular type of job.
And I bet, so I just had my HVAC replaced. I bet whatever customer, residential or commercial, they may not notice a 5% increase if it's a new customer because they're either way, they're not happy that they have to replace their HVAC system.
Right.
And I'm not saying go take advantage of that, but that could be a really meaningful impact. And the customer would feel the same amount of pain because they still have to replace the HVAC. So it's
Mhm.
not taking advantage of them. It's just, it is helping the business be more profitable for what is truly a good service and necessary service. I mean, I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. It is real hot. I need an HVAC. I would pay 5% more.
So, well, hopefully we've convinced people that data is so important in their business. And without it, you're leaking profits that you don't even know about because you're not tracking any sort of numbers.
Great. Yep.
So
That which is measured is managed, right?
that is right. So, Jack, what's the best way people can get in contact with you if they want to find out more about how to gather data, how to use it, how to understand it, how to present it to their team? The list goes on and on. How can they get a hold of you?
Yeah. So for starters, I'm always open to chat. I love, as much as I'm a data nerd, I'm a business nerd too. For genuinely feel free to reach out if you're listening to this and you're curious. My website, Pineapple CF, as in Pineapple Consulting Firm, .com is where you can find all stuff. You can find the pretty examples that you mentioned, Diane. You can find contact forms for me. I'm sure that link will be in the description and all that stuff. But my website and LinkedIn are the best ways to find me.
Okay, very much. Very good. Thank you. Listeners, I hope you enjoyed our visit with Jack as much as I did, and we didn't nerd out on you too badly. We didn't throw up a whiteboard and start throwing numbers on it or anything. We didn't even show a dashboard, so I'm pretty proud of ourselves that we didn't do that because we could have.
Could have.
So I'm just going to remind you once again, it's not how much money you make, it's how much of that money you're able to keep. And I'm hoping you found value today in this episode, just as you found values in our other episodes. If you have, would you take a moment to leave a review or share it with another one of your friends or business colleagues? We are growing our numbers and we're so happy over that. Thank you guys for doing that. Thank you for liking and subscribing us on YouTube as we try to get more eyeballs on ways that we can identify profit leaks, plug them, and make these companies more profitable. If you would like help in plugging the profit leaks in your business, be sure and reach out. We do profit impact calls weekly. Over and above that, we have our Profit Blueprint Boot Camp coming up. We've got a couple webinars coming up here soon, trying to help you keep your profits, keep them inside your company. We want these owners taking out profit distributions and not settling for the crumbs that are left. So thank you for joining us today, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Bye bye.